Okay, students, I'm going to talk about social media channels and users. And so what we want to understand by this is that social media, number one, is really different from other formats that we've had in the past. There are certain characteristics of those channels, and there are people that really know how to use them. So we're going to look at some of that. This is a very key part of this course. You really need to understand these four characteristics of social media. First, it is on the internet. And without the internet, we obviously wouldn't have a chance to have anything like social media. But this is interactive, and it's on the modern web, or Web 2.0. And these are websites and applications, and they do certain things. So a characteristic of social media that's very different is the ability to create user-generated content. And content can be posts, even a comment on a post is content. It can be photos or videos, and it can be links to websites, but it is your content that you post. Now, the reality is user-generated means that there are users that are really extremely powerful and have a lot of resources. So, for example, big companies like Coca-Cola or Taco Bell, things like that, they know how to use social media. They have lots of employees that do nothing but generate content on social media. There are also individuals that have become very adept at using the capability of user-generated content. So there's like YouTube stars. There are people that are followed on Facebook to a certain extent, but Instagram is huge, Twitter, and they have lots and lots of people that are looking at their content. To get the ability to do user-generated content, users have to create an account with each of the social media channels that they want to use, and then they have to create a profile that is something about them. Now, you may be aware that there's some controversy over how much information is shared. I know there are students in this class that have not been on social media for a period of time because they probably just had enough of it, and that's understandable. But when you do create your account, you have to agree to the terms of that specific company's policy. So when you do Facebook, you are agreeing to the Facebook policies. Now, you're probably just clicking through the part that's all this legal language that could be literally pages and pages long, because you're just going to say, oh, well, that doesn't really matter. In most cases, it really doesn't matter. But there are some exceptions to that, and you really need to think about what you're doing out there. For example, there's a big controversy now about the use of what's called hate speech on social media. And of course, free speech is a constitutionally protected right of American citizens. And that's very unusual. But it does put users into a sort of a conundrum. And that is, you can say things and you shouldn't say things. But it's a lot of gray area, and there's a lot of legal work that's being done through lawsuits and all kinds of other matters to see if we can clarify that. But I'll have to tell you, it's a little bit murky at times. Social media also does something that's very, very different too. And that is, social media allows you and your profile to connect to other users in that particular social media channel. So on Facebook, we have friends. On LinkedIn, we have connections. On Instagram, we have followers. Same with Twitter, we have followers. But these are ways of connecting. We also follow people. We also follow businesses. We follow celebrities. So these are the four things. It's web-based, user-generated content, service-specific accounts and profiles, and then the facilitation that is through these channels of creating networks. And the networks can be your close friends, they could be your friends and family, or it can be more public. And you can have anybody that wants to be your friend, you can friend them. So let's go on. Who uses social media? Well, this is a breakdown of current data by age. And you can see that, interestingly, obviously, the 18 to 29, which is more or less a millennial generation, huge. Almost everybody is using social media. Now, it decreases as age comes on. But even in this category here, which I happen to be in, you're still almost 40% of this population is using social media. That's a lot of people. If we're looking just at that 18 to 24 social media users, 94% of these folks are using YouTube. People that are over 50 are almost, not quite, but almost half of that. So YouTube is very, very commonly used. And a lot of people don't see YouTube as a social media, but it does have those characteristics. It allows you to do sharing and commenting, and it allows the development of your networks, and it's user-generated content. So these are what 18 to 24-year-old people really like to use YouTube. Now, also the same group, the one that is really big, and it's very difficult to do, I don't even know how to teach the use of Snapchat. I'm going to try to do that at some point, but I really have a bit of a challenge with it. I'll give you some readings about Snapchat, but we're not actually going to do it in this class. Instagram, on the other hand, is massively huge with young adults. And Twitter is pretty high with this group as well. Facebook, interestingly enough, is diminishing. Snapchat was the one that was least used by older adults. Only 7% of the people that are 50 or older report using the platform. Now, I personally do use Snapchat a little bit because I have a son who is in his late 20s now, who is a big Snapchat guy, and he's always sending me stuff on Snapchat. And if I want to see what he's doing, I have to be on Snapchat. I don't create a whole lot of content that I send back to him, but occasionally that happens. But it's definitely a platform that is used by younger people. Facebook. Let's talk about Facebook. One of the things that's interesting about Facebook is that all of the age groups do use it. About 80% of the 18 to almost 50 have Facebook accounts and use them to some extent, although the younger people don't use them as much. 55% of the people that are 50 and older use Facebook. And this statistic says that this group uses YouTube at a pretty much the same level. These are age characteristics of Facebook, but the important thing is that it is the biggest social media channel. And recently, Facebook announced that it had 2 billion users, which is insane. You may have heard about Pinterest, and Pinterest is a sort of an interesting social media channel. We'll touch on it a little bit here in the class, but it's not a big thing. But what it is, it lets you sort of collect things, particularly images, in an organized fashion and then share them with other people. I am talking about it because there's an interesting phenomenon. 41% of women say they use Pinterest. Only 16% of men say this. Is this a real thing, or is it possible that Pinterest, being known as a social media platform for women, might mean that if men are asked about, do you use Pinterest, maybe they're not telling the whole truth when they say they don't. They might actually use it. Now, I use it for a couple of things, and I think it's sort of a fun application, but I'm not deeply embedded in it. All right, so here are the top social media channels by the number of users. Facebook, by far, 2 billion. YouTube is getting to 2 billion. Instagram is 1 billion. Now, here's a couple. You may or may not have heard of these at all, but they are both specific to the People's Republic of China. And China, being the kind of closed society that it is, controls their social media. There's a lot of workarounds, and a lot of people have access to pretty much whatever they need on social media. But these two platforms are really big. And why are they really big? Because China is really big. A lot of people in China. So what they're using a lot is going to show up on this list. There's Twitter. Look at how small Twitter is compared to Facebook and YouTube, though. Reddit. We're not going to talk a whole lot about it, but it's been around for a while. Sort of a way to collect things. And there's Pinterest. And here's the others. The one that we will be doing, LinkedIn, it doesn't have, I mean, you can say 100 million people is a lot of people. It is a lot of people. But compared to the other giants, it's relatively small. That's why in LinkedIn, we're just creating a profile that's really to kind of help you present yourself professionally. All right, so here's a kind of a diagram version of what we just looked at, with Facebook and YouTube being really, really big, and some of the other ones that we talked about here are way smaller. Now, there's ways to measure the most popular Facebook pages, and in this case, we're going to look at celebrities. Now, what I want you to do is we're going to also talk about Instagram, and we're going to talk about Twitter, and just look at where some of these people are. Some of these people show up on all of them. But did you have any idea at all that Vin Diesel has more Facebook page likes than anybody else? Even though I pay attention to this stuff, it surprised me. Eminem, Will Smith, Michael Jackson, I think he's dead, but the Michael Jackson estate keeps his Facebook presence alive. Now, Taylor Swift and Katy Perry, of course, they're Beyonce, Selena Gomez, Lady Gaga. We're all going to see these repeatedly. Linkin Park is a little different and shows up on this list as a Facebook. All right, let's look at brands. Okay, and by the way, if we go back to celebrity, here's like close to 100 million, and go to brands, and the top brand, Walmart, has a third of that. So brands are using Facebook, and they're using it a lot, and they're paying for it. That's just why you see so many ads that show up on Facebook. And these are the biggest in terms of the number of likes. Remember, with a Facebook business page or a celebrity page, you like it. You're not their friends. You like it. But we see these popping up all the time. It's because they pay a lot of money. They invest a lot on Facebook. Sports teams. This is interesting. I don't know if you're all follow sports a whole lot, but the Los Angeles Lakers have been the dominant Facebook page. I've had students in this class actually do fan pages like I love the Los Angeles Lakers page, and it's very interesting. There's basketball's very big. The first 5, 6, 7 teams on the top 10 are all basketball teams. Then we have baseball, and we have one football, and then we have this is actually a soccer team. So that's sports teams on Facebook. Let's take a look at Instagram. Okay. Now the number one in terms of the most followers on Instagram is Instagram. And that's because they kind of automatically put everybody in the I follow Instagram thing. So it's just baked in. The first real person here is Selena Gomez. And then you may not know who Cristiano Ronaldo is. He goes by the name Ronaldo, and he's a huge soccer star, one of the greatest soccer players, or football as they call it in Europe and other parts of the world. And he's got a lot of followers. And then we've got some singers. We've got a Kardashian, and I still don't know exactly what talent Kardashians have, but there she is. Dwayne The Rock. There's another Kardashian part. And then down here we've got Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber. Now, these people are posting a lot of content on Instagram, but the following base for some of these other people is really massive, and it's interesting to note. So who has the most followers on Twitter? You're supposed to be making a guess right now, and if you guessed Katy Perry, then you would have it right. Katy Perry has been the #1 Twitter account for several years. And if we go through the top Twitter accounts by followers, and these are in millions, 108 million people follow Katy Perry. Now remember, in Twitter, you have to have this @ and your handle. Justin Bieber's still holding up there. He's been up the top 2 or 3 for several years. Former President Obama joins the list here at #3, and he's not a celebrity in the sense of being a musical talent or anything. And let's just keep going down, and you're going to see, okay, here's Ellen. Ellen is not a musical talent, but she's definitely a celebrity, and she brands herself by the name of her television show. And there's Cristiano again, the soccer. And this is interesting because this is a competitor of Twitter. All social media that aren't owned by the same company are basically competitors. YouTube is actually owned by Google, but Facebook owns Instagram. It also owns WhatsApp, if you are familiar with that. And then another singer down here. So you've got a lot of celebrity singers in the top Twitter accounts. Now you're probably wondering, President Trump, he tweets, but his ranking is number 17 with 55 million followers. Now 55 million is a lot of people, but he's not in the top 10. Now, let's close out by reviewing these 4 characteristics of social media. It's a web-based, it's user-generated content, and you have to create an account with a profile. And it does facilitate the creation of your own personal network by allowing you to connect to other individuals or groups. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.